You see this? You see that? Yeah, these property taxes are outrageous.
Outrageous!
So instead of arguing online, I'm going to show you my actual tax bill. This is what I personally pay every single year to own my one-bedroom condo in Chicago. Right here, that's the total. And yes, it's high. And when you see a number like that, your first reaction is probably the same as mine was the first time I opened it. Is this worth it? But here's the part nobody explains. That number isn't just a tax. It's a breakdown of where your money actually goes. Schools, parks, city services, county layers, all stacked together. And depending on how you live, that bill might be either a terrible deal or a smart urban investment.
Yeah, that's a terrible deal.
Yes, very smart investment.
Today, we're breaking it down, not politically, not emotionally, just strategically. High cost or smart investment? Let's look at the numbers. Now, before we go any further, let me level set something. If you came into this video hoping I'd say Chicago property taxes are low, they're not. And if you came in expecting me to say they're totally unjustified and a disaster, that's not the whole story either. This conversation gets emotional very quickly, and I understand why. When you're relocating, property taxes feel permanent. You can negotiate contract price, you can refinance your rate, but taxes, those are baked into your ownership costs. And for a lot of buyers, especially relocation buyers, this number is the biggest hesitation point. I've worked with people moving from Texas, Florida, Arizona, California, and almost every single one says the same thing. Why are Chicago property taxes so high? And it's a fair question. But here's the mistake most people make. They compare the tax number without comparing the lifestyle, the infrastructure, the density, or the services that come with it. They compare a suburban tax bill to an urban tax bill without adjusting for what those environments provide. And that's like comparing condo HOA fees to a single family home without factoring what the HOA covers. You're comparing totals without comparing structure. So what I want to do in this video is simple, folks. First, explain why the number is what it is. Second, break down where the money actually goes. Third, zoom out and ask a strategic question. If you value walkability, transit access, density, and economic opportunity, is this cost aligned with that lifestyle? Or is it too much for what you personally want? Because at the end of the day, this is not about defending Chicago. It's about making a smart financial decision based on your goals. And if you're thinking about buying here, you deserve to understand the math, not just the headlines. All right, let's break down why this number looks the way it does. Let's start with some context. Illinois consistently ranks among the higher states in the country when it comes to effective property tax rate. Cook County, where Chicago sits, is often near the top tier compared to other large metro areas. That's not an opinion. That's structural. Now, why? First, Illinois leans heavily on property taxes to fund local government. Some states rely more on income taxes. Some rely more on sales taxes. Illinois leans heavily on property taxation at the local level. Second, long-term pension obligations have been a major factor in state and city budgeting for decades. Whether you agree with how those obligations are handled historically is one conversation, but they exist, and they must be funded. Third, Chicago is a dense, infrastructure-heavy city. We have thousands of miles of streets, massive snow removal operations, one of the largest park systems in the country, public schools serving hundreds of thousands of students, libraries, police and fire departments, public health systems, administrative government layers. Dense cities cost money to maintain. Now, here's where the nuance matters. High taxes don't automatically mean mismanagement, and lower taxes don't automatically mean efficiencies. Different cities fund services differently. Chicago's model is property tax heavy. So instead of reacting to the total number, let's look at what the layers actually are. When you open up Chicago property tax bills, not just one payment to Chicago, it's multiple taxing bodies stacked together. On my bill, for example, you're going to see here, you'll see allocations to Chicago public schools, the city of Chicago, Cook County, the Chicago Park District, the Water Reclamation District, community colleges, libraries. Each one takes a percentage, and typically the largest slice goes to public schools. And even if you don't have children, that's important because people often assume their taxes are going towards one thing. In reality, it's distributed across a network of services. Now, here's something relocation buyers often miss. When you live in a dense city, you're not just funding services for yourself.
Me.
You're funding a collective ecosystem. Parks that you may not visit daily, schools that educate the workforce, libraries that provide public access, infrastructure that keeps property values stable. And here's the investment angle. Strong public infrastructure and school systems, even if imperfect, tend to support long-term property demand, especially in high-density neighborhoods with transit access. So when someone says Chicago taxes are insane, what they're usually reacting to is the total number. What they're not doing is breaking down the composition, and composition matters. Now let's compare this to a lower tax environment. If you move to a suburb or a lower tax metro in another state, your property taxes may be significantly lower. But what changes? Often more driving, less transit access, longer commutes, more private costs, gas, car maintenance, parking, fewer walkable amenities. In Chicago, especially in dense neighborhoods, you're paying into an ecosystem that supports walkability, transit access, grid-based urban design, lakefront public space, cultural density, economic clustering. Now, I want to be clear. Your property tax bill does not directly fund CTA alone. Transit funding comes from multiple sources, including fares and state allocations. But the overall city infrastructure ecosystem is supported through these layered funding structures. So the real debate becomes this: are you paying too much? Are you paying for a lifestyle that eliminates other costs? If you can live car light or car free in Chicago, this is really important, that can offset thousands per year in vehicle expenses. If you can walk to work or transit, that changes daily life. If your property holds value because of transit proximity and density, zoning stability, that's long-term ROI. Now, is every dollar perfectly managed? That's debatable. But the value equation isn't just the tax bill, it's a total lifestyle cost. And that's the part most relocation videos ignore. So let's just bring this back to you. If you're relocating to Chicago, this number, property taxes, directly affects your monthly mortgage payment, your escrow, your debt to income ratio, your affordability ceiling, and your long-term holding strategy. And here's the key. Property taxes vary significantly by neighborhood, property type, and assessed value. Two properties purchased similarly can have very different tax bills depending on assessment history. So making a blanket statement like Chicago taxes are high without running the numbers on your specific property is not strategic. So here's my bill. Again, for me, the walkability, transit access, and economic opportunity justified the cost. For you, that depends on your goals. If you're thinking about buying in Chicago and relocating, and you want to understand what your estimated tax bill would be, how it impacts your monthly payment, which neighborhoods have different effective burdens, and whether this is a smart investment for your lifestyle, you know what to do. Scan the QR code. You're going to see it in the upper corner on your screen, or click the link below to schedule a one-on-one consultation with myself. We'll break down the numbers, not headlines, no hype, no fear, just math and strategy. I am, of course, AD, your Chicago realtor, focused on urban living and helping people make smart real estate decisions. So comment below. With property taxes, is it high cost or smart investment?